Hi everyone, Robert Villanueva here. Just want to talk to you this week about open houses. Okay. Now, a previous video I had talked about building your business via passive and then also via active. Well, open houses we know is kind of a passive way of generating business. Why is it passive? Because you basically put some signs up, you post yourself up at a house, and you just sit there and wait for people to come by. Is it bad business? No, it's not bad business. The problem is that it's kind of a little bit more challenging on making it duplicatable. We don't know what those results are going to be. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, we don't know if we're going to have nobody show up or 50 people show up. However, we can turn these open houses to where they become a little bit more on the active side. So I want to talk to you today about 5 different things I want you to do leading up to this open house. Okay? Now, not one of the 5, but what I want you to do is I want you to identify the date or the day of the open house. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that the open house is going to be this coming Saturday. I'm going to encourage you to prepare 1 week in advance, and here's the reason why. Because the very first thing I want you to do is I want you calling around that open house Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you're going to be on the phone calling as many people as you possibly can, and you're going to do a just listed campaign. Again, one of my personal favorite scripts is the Mike Ferry just listed script. You're going to go through the entire script, but instead of finishing at the very end where you basically just say bye, see you later, you're going to say, by the way, we're going to be holding that house open on 123 Main Street this Saturday from 1 o'clock until 4 p.m. So you're doing your job in terms of being that active realtor. You promise, you made the commitment to your sellers that you're going to be an active realtor. So Monday through Friday, you're going to make those calls as a just listed, but you're going to finish off with moving people in that direction. Now, the second thing is you're going to go and door knock. Okay. Now, in the door knocking, here's the thing that I want to share with you before I go into the depthness behind the door knocking. When you call somebody, what has a natural tendency of happening is you go through the script, the person hangs up that phone, and then what ends up happening after that is that there's a conversation that is had. Not all the time, but in most cases. That conversation we are not privy to. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you go through, you make the phone call, the person ends up hanging up the phone, and the moment that they hang up the phone, what do? Well, that person in most cases is talking to their significant other. Significant other says, who was that? They say, well, it's some realtor. They were trying to sell this house and supposedly they're going to be doing an open house this Saturday. It's like, okay, well, and I don't know. I mean, they were just doing their job and calling around in the neighborhood. Well, what happens in that conversation is it starts to plant a seed. It basically sparks that interest. Okay, now they start to go, I'm curious. How much was that house going for? How much is that house going for? What does that house consist of? They start to do with what I call as compare and contrast. They have a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with a pool. You're doing an open house at a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with no pool. So now they start to compare and contrast. So you're going to now go and knock. And when you go and knock, you're again going to use the just listed script. Now, something interesting is going to happen, not at all the doors, but you're going to have some of the doors that are going to be the following. And what does that look like? Well, you're going to knock on the same doors that you telephone prospect around. You're going to knock on the door, you're going to go through, hi, my name is Robert, I'm with blank blank Realty, and the reason I'm stopping by is I just listed this property over on 123 Main Street. And you go through the entire script, and they're going to cut you off. Not all of them, again, there's going to be some. And they're going to say, hey, did you call me a couple days ago? And you're going to say, yes, I did. As a matter of fact, we're trying to get this property sold. My question to you is, who do you know that'd like to move into this area? Well, now because you planted that seed a couple days earlier, now they're going to say, I never asked you, how much is that property going for? You give them the price, and then you start to notice that there's a little bit of an interest. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything right then and there. They're still going to hold their cards really tight because this is a natural thing. They don't want to give right in because they know that we're going to go in and basically do whatever it takes to try to secure an appointment or secure a contract. So you go through, you knock on that door, and again, the conversation we're not privy to. Now, that person has a conversation with their spouse and says, well, hey, that realtor's a little aggressive, but it's a good thing. And why? because he's doing everything in his power to get that property sold. Maybe we should go check out that house on Saturday. Well, now, step number 3 is the actual open house. You're sitting there, you're doing your open house, you're greeting people, you're talking to people. Next thing you know, you notice that the person that comes in is the person that lives a block or 2 or even 3 away. What are they doing there? Okay. They're not necessarily looking at moving a block or 2 away. They're there to compare and contrast. Now you recognize them. That should be something that is going to be that trigger for ourselves as the realtor, and we're going to identify they are a potential seller. You're going to go through, ask them questions, and as you ask them questions, you're going to start to notice that they're going to give you a little bit of a different response. They might open up in the direction of, if you get X price on that home, how much do you think you could get for mine? If you get X price on that home, maybe we'll consider. We're in no rush though. So you start getting all of these type of conversations. Well, you do your job, you price it well, you get that property under contract, you end up opening escrow, it's now pended. Then what you end up doing is you go straight to number 4. And what is number 4? You're now going to do a just sold campaign. You're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call around the neighborhood. However, who are you going to call first? Ideally, you're going to call the person that I'm just mentioning to. Now, what I just described, that person, there could be a person 2, 3, or 5 that fall in this category. And now they're going to see you as this really aggressive, in a good way, agent that's going to be on their side. Now, the 5th one is, because not everybody is going to pick up the phone, you're now going to go through and do a just sold door knocking campaign. Now, if you do all 5 of these steps, I'm not necessarily guaranteeing you're going to get these great results, but I will tell you this. It's a little bit different than showing up on a Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning, you put 10 open house signs and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs for a couple of hours and hoping that somebody comes in and buys that home. Well, now you've created a very professional image in the neighborhood because you've called, you've knocked, you've opened the house, you've called again, and then again you've knocked. Okay. Now this is how you make your open houses be a lot more on the active side. So there is a way to do that. I'm always going to be here for you. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you at the top.